Hello, everyone. This is Donna Miller, and welcome to the Outspoken podcast. Today, I want to talk about something that's been circulating: apologies. Specifically, apologies from people like Tucker Carlson and Buckley Carlson, and others who are now saying they regret supporting Donald Trump. And I want to be very clear. This is not about anger. This is about accountability. This is about consequences. And this is about the people who were harmed while others chose to look away. Because some apologies come after mistakes, but others come after damage. And those are not the same thing. What's difficult for many people, including me, is that this wasn't a situation where voters didn't know who Donald Trump was. By their own words, they did know. Buckley Carlson described Donald Trump in a podcast with Tucker Carlson, where Tucker is apologizing and Buckley about Trump being a philanderer, a liar, someone who was extravagant, who exaggerated, someone who bent the truth. These weren't hidden qualities. They weren't secrets that emerged later. There were traits openly discussed and then dismissed. Buckley knew of Trump for years, and Tucker knew Trump personally. And that's the part that's hard to accept. Because when people say, "I'm sorry now," what many of us are hearing, you knew. And you chose to overlook it. This wasn't just about personality. This wasn't just about politics. People knew about the controversies. They knew about the accusations from women. They knew about the rhetoric. They knew about the behavior. But many people still decided that those things didn't matter enough to change their vote. I was told personally, when I asked, how can you overlook the audio tape of when he was talking about grabbing women? And I was told to my face by a MAGA voter, they're just ignoring it. And while that decision was being made, real people were being affected. They only cared about the price of eggs. Eggs, people. While families were going to be separated, communities targeted, institutions were shaken, trust in democracy all over the world, in American democracy, weakened. And those consequences didn't happen overnight. They happened over years. That's why when apologies come now, some people like myself struggle to accept them. I just don't believe them. They're making excuses for why they voted for Donald Trump. They want to walk away from this horrific decision as American voters, because during those years, many of us were raising concerns. We were asking people to listen. We were encouraging people to read policies, including discussions about what became widely known as Project 2025. We asked people to consider what these policies could mean for everyday Americans. But those warnings were often dismissed, sometimes mocked, sometimes ignored. And now, when some supporters say they regret their decision, it raises an honest question. Where was the concern when others were being impacted? Because many people didn't change their minds when others were hurting. Okay? They didn't change their minds at the thought that some people would be targeted. Some only changed their minds when they felt personally affected. And it just depends on what was affecting them. And that's a difficult reality. It's not about punishing anyone. It's not about holding grudges. But accountability matters. When people knowingly support someone despite serious concerns, and those concerns lead to real-world consequences, apologies alone may not be sufficient. Trust, once broken, takes time to rebuild. And some people may choose to accept those apologies, and that's okay. But others may need more than words. They may need to see consistent actions. They may need to see advocacy for the people who were harmed. They may need to see commitment to learning from what happened. Because accountability isn't just saying, I'm sorry. It's demonstrating understanding. It's acknowledging the harm. It's working to prevent it from happening again. For those of us who never supported Donald Trump, who warned others, who encouraged people to pay attention, this moment feels complicated. Not because we don't believe in growth, but because we watched the warnings unfold in real time. We saw the concerns raised. We saw the evidence presented. And we saw those concerns dismissed, mocked. People openly laughed and celebrated. So when apologies come now, some of us simply don't want to or aren't ready to accept them yet or even never. Not out of anger, but out of reflection. Because moving forward requires more than regret. It requires responsibility. And at the end of the day, this isn't about refusing forgiveness forever, hopefully. Each person has to take that step on their own. For me, I don't feel like forgiving right now. And I'm a Christian, and I understand that you have to forgive to get forgiveness. But God knows, baby. Right now, my heart is not in forgiving any MAGA voter. It's about recognizing that forgiveness is a process and trust is earned. And for me, a very open, loving person, it's going to be a process for me to forgive MAGA. People can change, people can grow, and accountability is part of that growth. But for many, the consequences were too real and the warnings were too clear to simply move on without reflection. I don't know. This is Donna Miller, and this is the Outspoken podcast. Sometimes being outspoken doesn't mean being angry. It simply means being honest. Thank you for listening.